Another one bites the dust. What's up, guys? It's Drifts and Lifts here. All right, so I got a decent amount of gravy for you guys today. It's another one of those episodes for the Volvo people that watch my channel. So we're going to buy another car, not this car. So we're actually at a junkyard, and my good friend Jonathan, he actually works at this junkyard. He informed me of a car that just came in, so that's the one that we're looking at right here. And I figured I'd show you guys just the car. I'm pulling a few parts off it, but it's actually a really clean car. It's a really big shame that this thing ended up here. I'm not even too sure why. It's really tough to say. It got written off, so unfortunately this cannot be bought back and put back on the road and reinsured. So unfortunately, this thing's bound to the junkyard for life, but I'll take a little walk around. It is actually a 760 turbo intercooler. It's a 1987. It's an automatic transmission car, and like I said, it actually looks in decent shape. It looks like it got neglected for a while. Nobody actually washed it for a long time. There's a lot of like moss and mildew and stuff on it. But interesting thing is, guys, I'm actually going to pick up a turbo wagon right now, so I'm going to show you that later on in the video. But both of these cars are white with a red interior, and they're both old school 80s turbo cars. So this is a red leather oxblood is what they call it, I guess in Sweden. You guys call it oxblood interiors. So this is really rare. You don't see these in too many. Really cool interior color. I just love these. I really wish I had one with one of these like leather oxblood interiors. The car I'm going to pick up right now is actually a cloth red, a cloth interior that's also red, so that's going to be pretty cool. Can't say I've actually seen one of those in person before. It's my good friend John. He is also part of the Volvo Guild. He has I think I did a video of it. It's a red wagon, and he also has a turbo automatic 740. A bunch of Volvos sitting at John's house.
I'm stacking up as many as I can.
Yeah, exactly, while they're still here, right? But yeah, this car's interesting. It's got the turbo. It's got the T3 turbo, the Garrett turbo, so the old school one with the blow-off valve that sits separate from the turbo. Yeah, overall pretty interesting car. If only it was able to be like taken out of this junkyard and put back on the road. It looks like, you know, it has some life left in it, but yeah, what can you do, guys? So I'm gonna pull a couple parts off this, and then we're gonna go ahead and check out my new wagon. All right, guys, so as I'm pulling this car apart, I noticed something really cool about it. It has the factory installed Turbo Plus system. So if you guys have never seen that, it's kind of like a factory installed boost controller essentially. What it did is it raised the boost, I think after like 3,500 RPM or 4,000, it raised it to 12 PSI instead of the factory 7 or 8. So it ended up picking up like 20 horsepower, and they're advertised with the Turbo Plus system at like 182 horse, I believe. So pretty cool. Essentially, it's these vacuum lines, and it goes into the air box, and there's a bunch of vacuum lines, and there's a solenoid, a bunch of wizardry going on. I don't know exactly how it works, but cool nonetheless. Not a lot of cars actually came with this, so it's kind of interesting to see. This thing looked pretty well optioned. I bet you this was a pretty expensive car from the factory, being a 760 as well as the red leather, you know, the turbo, and someone had a little bit of cash to spend when they were looking at buying this car for sure. So it's really a shame that we can't see this back on the road, but like I said, you can't save them all. Alrighty, guys, so this is the next day of this video. I'm gonna go show you guys the new wagon really shortly here, but before I do that, I'm gonna show you guys a couple things I've just been tinkering on in the garage. So we got the Volvo AQ151 Penta motor here. I've been stripping it down a little bit. I've taken most of the stuff off, drained the oil out, and it's pretty much just a bare motor now. It's still got the oil cooler on it. I don't have the right socket for that. But I'll show you guys this real quick. A couple little things I noticed when I was pulling it apart. These Penta motors, so some of you guys may know it does have the 531 head. So this is, you know, I guess kind of sought after. In Europe, maybe it's not as sought after. They're more common, but over here you can't find them on cars, only boat motors. Now that's all cool, but the only thing is, the problem is when they run them in salt water, this number 4 exhaust port gets pretty corroded, and that's the case with this one. You can actually see at one point someone did this aftermarket, I think it's like a steel thing they stamp in, and then it kind of, you know, gives it something for the manifold to bolt on because the exhaust port actually corrodes so bad. But yeah, so that's okay. That means this head is kind of junk, but that's not a big deal because I really just wanted this motor for the crankshaft. One thing to mention though is this thing was really rusty. I'll show you guys all the accessory stuff that's sitting in the back of my truck right now. But I think this harmonic balancer is actually like welded itself to the crank with rust. So that's kind of lame. I'm definitely gonna have to penetrate that and, you know, heat it up and do a bunch of things to actually like get it unstuck. But yeah, this head is probably junk, but that's, you know, it's not a big deal. Like I said, I did get a good V camshaft out of it. So just over here, I got this V camshaft. It doesn't have the it doesn't have the head mount distributor, obviously, on a Penta motor, so it doesn't have the slot for running a cam in a head mount distributor car like a 7 Series or a 9 Series. But that's okay. If somebody has a 240, I'll sell that for, you know, $100 or whatever if they want to upgrade their stock cam. Yeah, and also Miss Huff here, guys. You'll notice I have the ITB setup taken off. Last video, I actually cracked the ITB setup. Because of actually what I noticed is I think this brace was torqued down a little weird and it was just causing the ITBs to be stressed. So I ended up cracking lower down there where it connects from the stock intake manifold flange to the aftermarket or custom runners that Trevor made. But yeah, so I'm gonna bring it to Dan and he's gonna weld that up for me, and Miss Huff's gonna be back on the road. So that's all good. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna go show you guys the new wagon right now. Let's go take a walk over there and show you guys this thing. It's pretty cool. One of the more interesting cars I've owned for sure. All right, before I do that, let's just take a real quick look at all these parts that came off the Penta motor. So a lot of corrosion on a lot of the parts. Where's the cam gears? Oh, sorry, the cam gear is actually still welded to the cam over there. The cam gear is crazy rusty. It was hilarious. It looked like tree sap was growing on it. But yeah, as you can see, just a lot of these parts get really rusty in saltwater ran boat motors. So I basically stripped all the Penta stuff and I'm just gonna scrap it because I'm not gonna put it on Craigslist and wait for somebody to give me 20 bucks for it. Wait like half a year, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm gonna scrap all this stuff, get a couple bucks for it. I got an aluminum wheel. These actually go for like 10 or 15 bucks in the scrap piles. You guys might notice I actually cleaned out my garage. I actually removed $52 of scrap metal from this garage over the last couple days. I'm just kind of trying to clean it out. It makes it a lot easier to work on things. You're more organized. You can be more productive essentially. So that's kind of the goal for this. And yeah, so let's head over there and check out the new wagon. Alrighty guys, so here we got my new wagon. This wagon's name is Ted the Cigarette is what I ended up on because the previous owner's name was some old guy named Ted and apparently smoked a lot of cigarettes. This car smells just absolutely ruthless. It literally smells like the guy sat in there and hot boxed his car with cigarettes for 5 hours at a time and left all the windows up and like just cancer-fied himself. But yeah, so this thing's really dirty. The guy didn't really take very good care of it. I don't think he did anything to it. He actually just drove her for like 5 years straight, maybe an oil change. So it's, you know, it's seen a little better days, but honestly, for what I got it for, I got this car for 400 bucks. And it is an 80s car, so you know it's got some it's got a bit of value to it. The motor actually runs really, really good, which is the cool thing. I actually thought this car was going to be an absolute piece of junk because it has 460,000 K on it. My good friend Kevin D, he works at Scandia. It's a Volvo shop in Maple Ridge, BC. They had this thing sitting here because I guess the owner got like into a new Volvo, like a V70 or something. And they had this thing sitting here and basically he let them sell it for them and crackheads were breaking into it and a bunch of stuff like that. So they had to get it out of there and they said 400 bucks, come take it. I was like, all right, yeah, sure, why not? So interesting enough, it hasn't been washed in apparently since Ted has owned it, so it's over 5 years. As you can see, the top of it, that's why it kind of reminded me of a cigarette, right? It's like white on the bottom, and then this is kind of like the ash on the top when it's getting smoked. But yeah, so I don't know, let's take a little peep at this thing, guys. Really cool feature about it is it's got the red cloth turbo interior. So this is actually, I will say, the only car I've ever seen this on. Red cloth interior. Usually, you know, I've seen a couple red leathers like we saw earlier in the video, but the red cloth is really interesting. It's got like the checker. The driver's seat has been swapped out. It was probably really ripped or whatever from Big Ted sitting in here. But yeah, so I don't know, really cool. It's got like the black upper dash and then the red on the bottom. It's an 80s turbo car. It is a 1988. So the thing about this, guys, is it's got some real bad rust. So the floor in this region has a hole about, you know, you can stick your fist through it, no problem. I'm willing to bet that this is gonna start getting pretty bad. It's got a couple spots that's coming through, but I can see it's absolutely soaked down there on the carpet. Let's take a little look in here. The interior is actually not in horrible shape. Like the rear seats are fine, the carpet's fine, but that's gonna get stripped out anyways. Kind of the plan for this, guys, is the typical stuff. It's so rusty that it could be a good candidate for an A tractor. The motor runs good, it makes really good power. I'll show you guys that in a sec. But you know, I could do a lot of things with this. I could not wash it is what I could do, and I think that's what I'm gonna do, to be honest. It's kind of got this really cool patina like grossness to it that maybe I should just keep and go with that as like the style of the car. But yeah, so rust issues everywhere, mainly the floor, which is pretty gross. I haven't really dug into it. I'll probably find more the more I look. I was just like, oh, I'll pick it up, 400 bucks. I was willing to buy it without even knowing that it ran. So okay, let's pop this hood. Let's start it up. Let's see what she does. The battery is actually dead when I went and got it from them, so let's take a look here. Oh yeah, okay. All right, so she actually starts really nice, as you can see. Everything works fine. It actually came with like 3/4 tank of gas, which is kind of cool. That alone right there is 50 bucks off the purchase price. All right, so let's pop this hood. Yeah, weird little cancer mark here. I don't know what happened here, maybe Bondo or something, but the paint's like coming up, water's getting underneath. Yeah, I don't think I should wash this car. Look at that, it's literally been like 10 years of grime buildup. It would almost be a shame to get rid of it. But listen to this, guys, it actually sounds like there's no piston slap whatsoever, which really surprises me, because I'm sure this Ted guy didn't run it on 91 octane or anything, you know. I'm sure he just used regular and putted it around. But yeah, I think the water pump's actually going on it. It's leaking pretty bad water right now. But other than that, apparently this car had a rebuilt motor at one point. I don't know how true that is, but Ken at Scandia Motors said that was the case, and Ken's a no bullshit kind of guy. So I bet you that is the case. It looks kind of, you know, just the fact of how nice it runs, that is making me believe that it probably was rebuilt at some time. 460,000 kilometers on it, so that's a lot of kilometers. Like on a stock original turbo motor, especially if it hasn't been maintained very well and stuff, like that's gonna take a fucking toll. But yeah, so it's got, wait, I think someone, oh, it's got IPD sway bars on it. I forgot about that. Oh yeah, I can already see some more rust. Oh my god. Yeah, IPD sway bars front and rear. I forgot that Ken actually mentioned that already. It's got the Volvo mud flaps, came with a decent set of snow tires. What else? That's pretty much it, guys. Honestly, the plans for this car, I think I'm gonna take this ice racing instead of Miss Huff. It's got heat. Miss Huff is just so bad on fuel, and with the ITB setup and everything, like I'm just not super comfortable with a long 3.5 hour journey both ways up to go thrash my car and then make it all the way home. I think it'll just kill me trying to like drive Miss Huff up to the ice track and drift all day. It's just, you know, this thing's gonna be a lot more comfy. So I'll strip it out, put a boost controller in it, weld the diff. Jake's gonna do a set of knuckles for me, and I just got some studded snow tires off Sarah, my girlfriend's new Volvo that she got. We're just getting Volvos everywhere, guys, and actually I gotta be honest, I think I might be going and picking up another one today. They just keep falling into my lap for such dirt cheap prices, right? Like this one that I'm gonna pick up is gonna be 200 bucks. It runs and drives. So it's so hard to say no, you know. Like I know I cycle through Volvos, and I oftentimes I don't keep one and build one good one, but I kind of enjoy just like having a bunch and, you know, thrashing them, and you guys know my style, you know how it is. But yeah, so Ted the cigarette, there you go, guys. Pretty cool. I'll take it for a drive in another video. It's really not that interesting. It's pretty slow, you know, factory boost and everything, full interior, blah blah blah. Edna, unfortunately I might have to be getting rid of Edna. I can't have it sitting here any longer, and we have no more storage spots. So my good friend Basil actually lets me keep cars here for a really cheap price. But as you can see, like we're pretty stacked, and there's another one of my buddies that keeps a car here too. And I also got this thing, as you guys know from the last video. This, I don't know, I think a buddy's actually gonna buy this off me, and he'll keep it going. I could have parted it and scrapped it, but that's kind of lame. It's still got life in it. So I think this one you guys will probably see back on the road sometime, which will be, you know, that's kind of cool. But yeah, I'm thinking I might have to get rid of Edna, guys. I got to get rid of something, so it's probably gonna have to be Edna. So I'll pull the 410 rear out of it. I'll pull the A camshaft out of it, and off she goes. And then I got more Volvos, like, you know what I mean, if we want to do like a rollover video, and there will be some more shitty Volvos coming into my life very soon, I'm sure. It kind of happens on a weekly basis at this point. So yeah, that's pretty much a wrap of the video, guys. I apologize for the short video, but you know, we'll go do some fun stuff soon. I'll get my Cummins truck out, we'll go do some donuts in it. And then I'm gonna start working on this thing. I only have like a week and a half, 2 weeks to prep this for ice racing, as well as we're actually doing a drift event early February. So yeah, it's gonna be I'm gonna take this and actually drift it at the track and see how it does, and that'll be like the test to make sure it can do the long journey up to the ice track. So anyways, guys, I think I'll leave you there. Like and subscribe for dirty Volvo infections. Peace out.